James's dinner and Elvis and Opie's dinner. And James is going to talk about the Velvet Underground a bit. And then I'm going to talk about NCIS Sydney Season 1 and Wild Horses.
So maybe you can talk first, okay?
Oh, okay.
Because mine will be continued. I'm still in the process
Okay.
of watching. I've finished one disc and gone through it a second time with the directors, whatever, all us technicians talking over it, which is kind of what it's about. NCIS, is that what it's called? NCIS. Sydney, so that's got to be Australian.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is from 2023-2024, and there's only 2 discs, 2 DVDs in here.
So
which
it's a TV
surprised
show.
me because, yeah, it's a spin-off from, I mean, there's loads of the NCIS things now, and I guess now there's one in Sydney. They've decided to branch out, not just the United States, but Sydney, so I don't know.
So it's a branch off of CIS? Or
NCIS,
whatever.
it's the Navy.
Okay, there we go. So it's a different thing. I thought it was that thing. I'm thinking
Crime scene
something.
investigation.
Something like that. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what changed.
So it's CSI.
Because they did many spin-offs too. Well,
Yeah, exactly.
a couple anyway.
I thought they jumped off the continent.
Yeah, and honestly, that was a better series to spin off. When, watching the spin-offs and the original from this, I was like, why do they keep making more? Who's watching this stuff? But I know people who watch this and love it, and I cannot relate really. But then I was thinking about it watching this. Well, Navy, you're getting to see a lot of ocean scenery. So maybe that's it, right? That helps. And now with this one, you're getting to see Australian ocean scenery, which is even better.
A lot of surf,
so,
I guess, eh?
Really beautiful. So, honestly, I think I like the characters in this NCIS better than the others. The lead woman, she's really beautiful, but she can't act at all. She's really bad. So they just have her acting really tough. So she doesn't really have to.
Then?
Yeah, she doesn't really have to show emotion. She's just all the time. Okay. And maybe that's enough. Because she is beautiful, so maybe people will like watching that without the acting, right? Who knows?
I'm sure there's all sorts of beautiful women in Navy, whatever, crime, whatever.
Yeah, that is weird.
I worked at the cop shop, and there was one woman there that people, like who's actually working as a cop. Some people might describe as beautiful. The rest, well.
Anyway, so yeah, I rated this higher than the other NCISs, and I found it entertaining enough that I actually almost look forward to watching the next season. Strangely enough. So, anyway, Wild Horses in Winds of Change.
You might want to show the cover again.
Well,
that's
it is beautiful. Yeah, that's a beautiful horse.
Yeah.
So, this was, I guess it was an okay documentary. It wasn't very long. I can't remember. I think it was only like half an hour long. But,
wow.
Yeah. And they had I stopped it in the middle. It went back to the beginning on my player. The first time it actually held my position when I stopped it. And then the next time I stopped it went back. And so I was like, I have to find. So I'm tracking ahead, and the tracks are like 10 seconds long or something. It's ridiculous, right?
I heard you working away at that. Will your thumb ever recover?
Yeah. So that was annoying. And also there was it didn't seem to be really it seemed like it had really low production values. So much like this or whatever, right? It's just something that I expect more when I see a film on DVD.
I'm telling you, I peeked in and
Well,
I wasn't
beautiful
noticing
horses.
the birds.
No, because the horses are so beautiful.
Horses and little Mustangs, little
Yeah.
baby ones. My favorite
And
was
the
a
scenery.
little one that got hold of a dilly hat.
I think it was a cowboy hat.
Was-
I don't know, but anyway, he was running around with it, having
with it in his
fun.
mouth.
Yeah, so sweet.
Mhm.
But anyway, so they're showing these wild horses in the United States, which I was watching this for well, not the longest time. It's not a very long DVD, but for quite a while into it, I was watching it going, why are they making a big deal about these wild horses? Because they're not native. I've heard about the horses, they were brought over by Columbus or somebody, and
Well, it was the
they went
Spaniards
wild
generally
or
after
whatever.
Columbus, yeah.
And they've been wilding in the United States, whatever, but whatever, not native. And so then on this video later on, they were saying they've done genetic testing on these horses, these wild horses, and somehow these wild horses that are there now, although they were brought over, and they know that they were brought over and abandoned out in the wild, they are genetically the same horses that were in the United States back in the time of mammoths and stuff.
Before the young guys.
Yeah, so
And they were.
because they
They
have,
went
I guess they have
extinct.
fossilized records of them. And well, they said they didn't go extinct. They went over. They went over the land. What do you call it? Blah. You know,
The Bering
yeah,
Strait, the
strait.
bridge across.
Yeah, the bridge.
And-
And so they say they went over and humans brought them back. Not
so
knowing
what
that they
are
were
they
supposed to
saying
be
they
back
went
here.
over and populated Asia?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's what
going
they're
to-
saying in this.
Just because something seems wackazoid.
So you might want to
I'm not
watch
going
it.
to
I might have
dismiss
gotten it wrong. Whatever, they might have gotten it wrong. You might want to look into it. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you the information that I heard in this. So, and then, I mean, you're watching the people. I guess what's happening, or what has happened, is they explain the whole politics of the thing. I'm just going to give you a little brief thing. If you're interested, look into it further. But the government said these horses are wild. They're allowed to run around on public land and wild about as they please. And then now the public land is made smaller and smaller, and the also there's cattle ranging on public land, which happens here in Canada too, which that's another matter altogether, because you have to think about, well, who is allowed to range their cattle on public land? And you see that they're continually getting to range their cattle on public land year after year after year after year, while others aren't.
Yeah.
So what's going on, right? Because it's not like they're giving away their beef because they get to feed them for free. So
Yeah.
you got to think, well, why are they able to range on public land? The cattle shouldn't be able to. They shouldn't be able to. It should be, and here in Canada, they should not be able to. The public land, they should be putting bison onto the public land to range. And, you know, I've heard ranchers say, oh, well, cattle take the place of bison or buffalo in the ecosystem. Okay, well, put back bison. Don't put your cattle on the public land. It shouldn't be there. So anyway, I got off topic there because that's an issue that bothers me. Anyway,
We can get off topic. It's important. It's an issue in this.
I suppose it is. So the horses, anyway, they're being rounded up. They'll take helicopters and they'll scare the horses and round them up. And I mean, these horses are terrified. They don't know what's going on, and they know that they're being hunted essentially, right, by a helicopter and by anyway. So they're scared, and sometimes they break their legs, and sometimes they they end up really badly wounded, and sometimes they die.
Well, if they
You
break
know, in
their
the
legs,
process.
they're dead.
Well,
They'll put
they
'em down.
anyway, yeah, but and the people rounding them up don't care because as far as they're concerned, they're like weeds, right? And they're um, sent to be slaughtered,
Sometimes.
maybe for dog food or whatever, right? Or they were saying for meat overseas sometimes or something. And they were saying they want to feed the military and children in public schools and
Horse meat.
yeah, some other, I don't remember. They were
Yeah.
thinking of horse meat, right? So anyway, but then there were other people in this video who were showing, look, these wild Mustangs can be adopted and they make really great horses. As you know, they were showing, especially one woman was saying she has had a lot of success taking in pregnant mares and the mothers with their foals, because the mothers with their foals, they'll just willingly go right into the trailers, the people's trailers, because they know that they're in trouble and they want their foals to survive, right? So they just willingly go and hope for the best. And people say they make really good pets, essentially, or whatever. Some of them, you know, grow up and they're just like the foals will grow up and they're good little workhorses or whatever. I don't know.
Were they
Anyway.
making oh, sorry. Was it in the alley? Like, this is a little off topic, but it really is on topic. A little rabbit was getting set on to by a bunny, by cats. And came over to your feet, right?
Yeah, I looked down right at my feet and I just reached down, picked them up.
You
So-
get somewhere near a rabbit ordinarily,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Gone, yeah.
But it balanced the
it was looking at
odds
things and
saying,
went, okay, my chances are better with this human than with these cats, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, the horses were just beautiful to watch. And like one woman was saying, she goes to these auctions and the horses, the wild horse Mustangs are so cheap, you know, because they're basically being sold just for meat and for cheap meat, right? Not like high quality meat. So she says that she looks and says, how many can I fit in my trailer, you know, because she would like to save them all. So honestly, after watching this, I was thinking, yeah, I guess that's the horse I want to adopt when I have a farm one day, is a wild Mustang, because this is just heart-wrenching that this is going on. But what do? I mean, more people, you need more food, and you're going to have less nature. And I mean, I was talking to somebody who's really pro solar panels, and I'm like, yeah, when you have a solar farm, you're taking that land out of production for food. And it's not like you can set up solar panels in the middle of the desert, because the solar panels, they have to be near the people, and the desert doesn't have the water to support the people, and so it's not like you can put the solar panels where, in many cases, where on land where nothing will grow, because there's water nearby and land, you know, it's used for growing food or whatever. But it's just, anyway, it's
The guy
depressing. He
was
was a nice guy.
a nice guy, but he had this idea that in order you had to get a bigger population to grow your economy.
Yeah. And
That's like saying we could really grow the economy of this house by just bringing in a whole bunch of people. Come on in.
yeah. Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to work or whatever. You know, if their income is lower than your income, you're decreasing the economy of the house, because it's what matters is the per capita wealth in a house. Same sort of thing in a country. Same sort of thing in the world.
Anyway, so would I recommend you watch the wild horses video? Sure, why not? It's you get to see a lot of beautiful horses
Okay.
and some people who really care about them. So go ahead with Velvet Underground.
Well, I kind of wanted to get your response to Velvet Underground.
Oh yeah, that video is horrible.
Wait. So it's put out by Apple, presumably corporation. It's not the computer company. It's, I suspect it has something to do with the company formed by the Beatles. It was 1968.
Hey, baby Elvis.
And because I wasn't sure, but I saw a
Okay.
yellow submarine at the end of the film. Anyway, boy, it's hard to read that.
Yeah. Well, and another thing is the case. I was thinking, yeah, they put the writing backwards, whatever, but it'd make more sense if it looked like you were looking at it from underground. So it doesn't really work for this. It's just like they did it because they can. Like, it doesn't really make any sense.
They got the picture backward too. They've got the playing left-handed. So, what this film is about, they were boasting. So I started watching the directors and technicians, the two technicians, whatever, making a commentary about the movie.
Did you swallow it? Okay.
And they were boasting that there was no music from the Velvet Underground for the first 40 minutes. And I think it's basically 2 hours or something like that. What's that to boast about? It's not why I got this out to watch. Listening to the director's commentary, I realized, in combination with the lack of Velvet Underground music at the beginning, and also the way they used music. One of the things that bugs me about movies is they'll start playing something. Wouldn't it be nice if whatever?
See? Okay.
And then they'll play a verse,
Little
and then
crumbs.
they'll
That's
cut.
it.
You know, it shouldn't be any great secret. Movie makers don't really like music that much. There's exceptions like Martin Scorsese. He's done some wonderful movies about concerts and biographies and stuff like that. Well, most of them don't give a flying, you know what. Let's say flock
It's all
about
gone. Okay, let's go back.
about music. So what they'd be doing with Velvet Underground is they'd start up something like Heroin, and after about, you know, I guess you could call them verses. After a verse or two, all of a sudden the music is turned down a little bit, and someone starts talking over it. That's disrespecting the music. I don't, you know, like when you're dealing with a music subject, the music is not it's not background. Got that straight? So you folks that did this thing, if you're listening, don't ever do this again. Now, what this movie is really about is movie making, avant-garde movie making in New York in something like the middle 60s. Incidentally, spoiler alert, I'm going to keep on chowing down. I'm hungry while I'm interviewing. If you don't like it, turn it off. I'm not even going to apologize for it. Anyway, way too much Andy Warhol in this thing. Andy Warhol, Andy Warhol. There's more about Jonas. Probably should say Jonas. Mikos. This probably should be. It seems as though he could be Hungarian. Probably should be Jonas Mikos. But they were saying Jonas Mikos. That's probably the way he was pronouncing his name. There's more of him than Doug Ewell. Doug Ewell was a member of the band, as I remember, for 2 albums. They only had 4, aside from posthumous releases. Way too much John Cale vis-a-vis Doug Ewell. My understanding is John Cale was a part of 2 albums. Doug Ewell was part of 2 albums. The stunning thing is, like you set the thing up for me today with half an hour left, and a lot of that was credits.
Oh dear.
No. Well, it's not a problem because I just started off at the beginning and listened to the director's commentary, technician's commentary. But the unfortunate thing is they put out 4 albums. And that last less than half an hour, they covered the 2 last albums.
Oh wow.
Big problem. The 3rd album, they kind of gave you a short sniff of 2 songs, said, oh, this stuff is really soft. Yeah. Because John Cale was gone. The group was not well set up in original concept. I don't know who, well, Reed and Cale met. Cale was oozing musical talent. Unfortunately, someone had given him a stupid idea about improvising. Why is it when people improvise, like in jazz, like in rock blues, a la the Allman Brothers, Eric Clapton, and Derek and the Domino, why is it that they think they can go on forever and ever? Oh, I'm freaking well inspired. If you're improvising, give yourself a minute and really hit the top. Then I think you'd get the adrenaline flowing in the people listening. You'd better have it flowing in yourself. Otherwise it's just, wow, I think I'll go off in this direction. Oh, meander, and stuff like that. The Velvet's second album is almost unlistenable. It's like John Cale gone wild. I think that's the one with Sister Ray on, and it must have lasted a whole side. It seems like it lasts for half an hour, but they couldn't get that on the side on the record back then. 17 minutes? Is it only 11 minutes? It feels like, I guess half an hour, 17 minutes. It just goes, maybe it's only 7 minutes. I don't know. It's awful. And it's Lou Reed he did worse actually solo when he teamed up with Metallica.
Metallica?
It's horrible. It's awful. It's worse than Metallica. You've heard some. Metallica's got all sorts of chops, Lars Ulrich and all this sort of stuff. And their guitarist, kind of forgotten the name. I think he's a pretty good guy. Their lead singer is garbage. Anyway, what's happening with Sister Ray is, just like Sister Ray says, and then he repeats that again, again and again. I couldn't, what was it? I'm searching for my main line. I couldn't hit it sideways. Okay, that's a fairly good line, but it keeps on popping up again and again. She's too busy, on my ding dong, do, and again and again, again and again. Wow. There's maybe 2 minutes of material, just stretched out with all sorts of, apparently John Cale, multi-instrumentalist, classically trained on some of it. He's just hammering away on huge volumes on something like an organ, some sort of keyboard. Yeah. This is Velvet Underground amongst critics. You'll get fans that overrate bands, like Kiss. And then you get critics. They'll have their favorites. And this Velvet Underground is gotta be the most overrated band amongst critics. Critics never got behind Frank Zappa, really. But Frank Zappa is somewhat similar, a real crusty individual, somewhat similar to Lou Reed. They both, I think it was Freak Out that Frank Zappa put out about the same time as Sgt. Pepper's. I was thinking it was We're Only in It for the Money, but that was Mother's parody of the Sgt. Pepper's. So the way they parodied the album is the mother's dress had been dragged, and they're the worst looking drag queens ever. All the facial hair and stuff like that. So We're Only in It for the Money. Guess what? The Beatles weren't. They spent a huge amount of money on Sgt. Pepper's. Initially, yeah, they were saying they were honest about it. We'd open their act with, I think it's Berry Gordy's, and maybe other people writing with Berry Gordy. Give me money. That's what I want. Huh? But Frank Zappa was really resentful of the Beatles' success with Sgt. Pepper's. He figured his group, maybe him, put out the best album of '67. I think it was Freak Out. I think that came out '66. Anyway, Lou Reed, same sort of thing, another crusty individual. He really thought the Velvet Underground, the first one, album with a banana on the cover, that was the best of 1967. But not even, neither, you put them together, there's not anything near as many good songs or performances or any sort of thing as there are on Sgt. Pepper's. What were they thinking? Not even as good as many on Revolver. Well, not as many as any number of Beatle albums. The White Album, or Abbey Road, even Let It Be, which is I'll let them.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I let James watch this here, because what I was planning on doing is the same thing that I did with that Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young thing.
Well, was it that?
Yeah.
Because you would have had to listen to it driving.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? Wow! Going from one ditch to
no, it just would have been horrible because, yeah, I would have had to listen to it the whole way, and James said, you probably would have went in the ditch, and I said, yeah, just to end the thing, just to end it all.
End it all.
Because it's really, really tough listening
Way
to that.
too much of John Cale's noise. And they were playing up Nico. Why? Because she was something like a movie starlet, if not a movie star.
And I noticed our library has 2 copies of that. Why?
Wow.
I can see why you'd have one. A lot of people rate the Velvet Underground highly. I'm not one of them, but...
Like vocals, how would you rate the vocals? Abysmal, right? Nico,
yeah, well,
Lou Reed?
Yeah, she's terrible.
Yep.
But Lou Reed, like James was saying, they should have kept Nico in the band, and I was like, she is a terrible singer.
Terrible.
And James was like, yeah, but she has a different voice than Lou Reed. He's a terrible singer too,
yeah.
But they sing differently.
You need a little relief. Oh my God.
I'm just like, no.